Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on November 17th, 2023 at approximately 4:25 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally live by, that I personally use in my own day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I guide my life by, literally every day of my life. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they have literally worked for thousands of others, with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. With this in mind, before we go any further, let us start off with Shadow and Sun. How you are in here with the gold. So I hope your day has been going well. Now let's see if everything is working right. And this is the link to Shadow and Sun's live stream. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of the thing. Then we have Joe Stewart in with the silver, and Nathan from the Quantum Show is in with the bronze. And let us see if we've still got that little file sorted around. Nathan, right there. This is the link to Nathan's show. So absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of the thing. It's by sharing these sites and by visiting these sites that you will find that this world can be turned around. The reality is the system is not broken. The leaders that are running the system, on the other hand, could undoubtedly use some guidance. And I know they've all got their political guy, their what are they called? Their advisors and what have you. But I'm telling you, the road that society is running down right now is, shall we say, a little off kilter. Hence the idea of the pentagram itself. People have long considered the pentagram a sign of black magic. The fact of the matter is that, at least from my understanding, is magic itself is neither good nor bad. It is just a very different form of technology, if you will. Okay, so we will get into more of how I personally utilize that. Okay, as we go through the next couple hours. But for those of you that don't know, if you're just joining me for the first time, a couple of things. If you've got a question, even if it is not in the topic that we're discussing right at the moment, put it in the chat room anyway. But put it in all caps. Okay, all caps, partial caps, or at least a wavy hand so I can see that you're there. That would be really appreciated. Okay, now the other thing that we got to remember is when you're using all caps in my live stream here, all caps is not shouting. It is just trying to get my attention. Okay, now when I start looking at pentagrams, they've long been associated with black magic. But what you got to remember is at the time the pentagram started being used, the first thing you got to realize is anything that did not coincide with the going belief structure of the leaders was considered evil. Therefore, the second a new method of focus, the thing was, because it was simply practiced by people without a quote-unquote organized, if you will, taxable translation, it was outlawed in a lot of cases. but you got to look at the pentagram itself. Okay. Number one, and do not ask me about the origin of it. That's somebody else's department. I am not what you would consider a witch. Okay, used to be. Okay, and I've guided many people down that road. But the reality of it is, I guide people down the road from instinct, not because I've been trained. Oh, this is the sigil you're supposed to use for magic, or this is the symbol that you use for protection. Okay, couple of things we have to look at. Number one, the pentagram itself is a 5-pointed star. Okay, but you see it quite common in medical journals. Okay, where you've got the guy standing there spread eagle. So you got the top is the head. The two arms that go out to the side are the arms, and the two at the bottom are your legs. Meaning your pentagram literally indicates mankind. Not male, not female, just simply the species. Okay, and when you're concentrating on you as an individual, and we'll get into a lot of how you can do that a little bit more effectively. But when you concentrate on you as an individual and you stick to karmic law, frankly, you'll find things turn for the better quite nicely. Okay, but remember, they only turn for the better if you put the effort into it. And yes, you'll notice I got my door closed, got my coffee. This is an important factor. Okay. So I'm just looking at this and what the heck did these people think? The thing is, procrastination doesn't do anybody a lot of good. Oh, look at that. Telling me what my investment is not doing. Considering I'm not doing anything with it, that might explain that in a hurry. So we take that, get that out of my way. How about if we don't fall down? What do you think? Now we go in here to banking. And pop that where it goes. You'll notice I have told you multiple times, if you follow the stream at all, you'll notice I do have a tendency of striving to keep things mobile, even with my own stuff. And Missouri Man, let me see here. We've got bronze, gold, silver. And Missouri Man, you are in with honorable mention. Okay, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Now, Missouri Man is just sharing the pentagram predates all of modern man, just as the astrological calendar does. Absolutely. That much I do realize. As I said, though, I am not a researcher. I look at the pentagram as a very useful focal point. Okay. Now, the two circles around it there's a couple of things that they represent for me. And this may just be the way that my system is working. And we are buffering again. This is going to be fun. Yeah, we're buffering, so I don't know how long that's going to take. So, I'm looking at that going, well, that's just no fun. But I look at the two circles. Now, there's two things, the two circles around the outside that most people put different sigils in. Again, whatever the sigil, and this is a neat part about magic, magic responds to what you're focusing on. Okay, it doesn't turn around. It doesn't turn around and determine it's good or bad. What you focus on is what you're drawing to you. Okay. Now, the nice part about it, from your end. Let's just make up that's live. And that's live. Well, that's top. So let's get that up to live so that works. Now, when I take a look at the circle that goes around the whole body, because of the fact that I know for an absolute certainty from my site and many people I've talked to that see auras, that double circle, emulates the auric field, that energy field that every corporeal, that every living entity contains. Okay, so that double ring simply indicates, for me, indicates the energy field around you. That's what you work with in order to change things. And who do we have wandering in here? We have Pierre Ciscato. How you doing, Pierre? I hope I pronounced that right. If not, the best way I can put it there, Pierre, because I prefer having pronunciation correct. But, and all I require, because obviously we're not going to work well with the idea of telling me, but is that actually pronounced Ciscato? Your last name, I mean. Oh, perfect. Sad to say, I only speak English, so there's a lot of languages that I look at going, okay, how's that supposed to pop up? But when we take a look at the pentagram, let me show you something here, because Missouri Man brought up a very important factor here regarding the astrological wheel. Okay. Now, like I said, this particular wheel was literally done with just four tools. Okay, a center point, a string, a marker, and like a pencil and a straight edge. Oh, there we go. Joe's just going, me and my mom were in traffic today near the house, and it was behind a lot of vehicles going to a funeral. And guess where they went? The cemetery right behind my house. Yeah, it's unfortunate, it's unfortunate people die in some ways, but, sooner or later we're going to. I just get more runs at it. But, seriously, my sincere sympathies to those left behind. Now, if we take a look at the astrological wheel, right at the top, where are we here? Aries. Well, I got it turned. Okay, we have Aries here. So you have right at the top, we've got Aquarius and Capricorn, both at the top. Your head sits here, which is your business and your humanitarian field. Both very important. You got one hand on the truth and one hand on revelation, and on understanding. On the extreme side of thing, you've got, and then when you take a look down here, you got 1 foot in the family, right? Whoop. Where is 4 here? That's there. Okay, we got 1 foot in the family and the other foot in healing. And again, this just goes to show when you overlay, and I didn't think to do it, but when you overlay the pentagram onto the astrological wheel, you'll notice we are talking about a wheel that is designed to connect people to each other, to help people heal. Joe's just filling us in here. I just felt sad feeling when I saw the hearse. She couldn't because she had her eyes on the road. Well, and in all fairness, I'd much rather your mom had her eyes on the road while she's driving. This is why this is one of those things that keeps them out of the grave. At least that'd be my theory. But yeah, it's it can be every time I hear about somebody passing, This is why I offer sympathies to the people left behind. The funeral, the person is dead, rest assured, they're already on their way. Yeah, Missouri's just bringing us up to speed. The reason I'm passing this on, guys, is I don't do this research. Okay, but it is important information. I am definitely going to have to replace that monitor. Well, I'm going to replace the whole system, but Missouri Man is just letting us know. How you doing, Celeste? Glad you could join us. Missouri Man's just letting us know the astrological calendar was derived from the Great Earth Calendar, which was derived from the cosmic calendar for the middle boundaries, Milky Way, etc. All is based on energy. Absolutely agree with you on that. You know, what I've discovered over the years is that everything is connected, the whole 9 yards of it. You know, and from that standpoint, it's a very simple issue when we start looking at that, and when you start realizing that we're looking at the cosmos, it just does not make any practical sense to me to think that Earth is the only place that life evolved. Okay, so yes, it is a very important place to all of us, and it'd be really nice to quit destroying the thing. You know, Missouri Man's going, it isn't research. Well, whether you want to call it research, whether you want to call it reading, I don't know. I don't do either of it. Okay. And what label you put on it doesn't matter. It's information that I'm missing. Okay. I do know that when I look at it, when I start working with a pentagram, I visualize it as a unifying focal point. And that's it. Neither good nor bad, nor for that matter neutral. It's just there. What you do with it is where the important factor is going to be. And by the way, you know, I look at that and overlay it again with the idea that any bipedal organism falls under that same category of if you will, depiction. Okay. It is simply a question of what are you going to do with it, and can you put it to use in your own life to make your life a better one. Today's Friday, that's why. I was just trying to figure out if Nathan was going to be on today, but no, this is Friday, so I wouldn't bet on it. But when I look at the pentagram, now I don't have one laid out on in my room. Matter of fact, I don't even have one laid out on in my apartment. Keep stuttering like that, I'm just gonna slap myself in the back of the head to get the stutter to go away. You know, in all fairness, that actually doesn't work. You know, so I look at it this way: a pentagram is a focal point. But I will tell you this: much as a pentagram is a focal point, a centigram, also known as a seven-pointed star, is a whole lot more powerful, because not only does it indicate not only does it indicate the arms and the legs and the head, but it shows you the four wings. Okay, it shows where the four wings are, and this is what adds extra energy to what you're up to. And again, it's just another tool for focus. What you're focusing on is where the complication can arise. Okay, am I going to go into showing you any of the sigils that get used in the outside? Not a prayer. Okay, I've seen way too many people take information like that and twist it completely out of shape. Doesn't work well for me. You know, Don't know if it works well for you, but I do encourage you, even if you're looking into witchcraft, okay, you're looking into working with a pentagram. Yes, they work for summoning circles, for entrapment spells. They work to amplify whatever you're working on. Problem, karmic law. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, by following that line of thinking, you can actually get your life on track in very short order. Okay. Now, I put that there and shouldn't have. I just decided to get up. I'm going to take this little thing. And again, it really boils down to, if you see something that's not where it belongs, put it back where it belongs as soon as you can. It will certainly help keep things organized for you. Now, the other thing we have to look at when it comes to any... Wendy Williams, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, you have been notably absent, so I'm hoping things have been going well for you. You know, one of the big things that I find, what is this? One of the biggest things I find when we start looking at working with magic circles, and bear in mind, magic boils down to amplification focal points. Okay. When we are doing that, if you're side of things, you're going to have a much better return on your efforts. You know, it's just one of those things I look at going, how do we make this work? How do we get this across that people can actually start turning your life around in real time? Okay, if you like the idea of working with a pentagram, just remember one very important factor. When you lay a pentagram out, let me show you something here. Let's go over here and grab one of these. And we'll grab a blank sheet of paper that I don't, scrap paper really, that I don't require. Because for those of you that don't know what we're referring to, which I'm betting most of you do, pardon the artwork, my artistic ability is absolutely short. Wendy Williams is just saying synchronicity strikes because the topic is something I've been looking into a little bit recently. Yeah, and there's a lot of information out there. I have read virtually none of it because, frankly, I've been running on instinct for way too long. Oh, that did not work well. Gives you an idea how often I do that. So how about if we don't do that? I'll show you that one in a second. Well, that's cute. Yep, that really is good. Gives you an idea. Oh, there we go. Gives you an idea how often I use this. So that one we don't want to do. Let's do this. Like I said, artwork, not really a good sign of mine. However, something to keep in mind with the pentagram. First and foremost, inherently, it is not something, the pentagram is not something in and of itself that is bad. But if you're using a pentagram, You always stand, if you're looking at doing things in a positive fashion, always stand facing, you always have the pentagram upright. And if it's on the floor, you stand at the base and face the head. Okay. The reason for that is it draws the energy into a higher realm. That would be first and foremost. You'll notice if you put it upside down, if you're facing the base, you're looking at drawing and slowing the energy down, bringing it down into a much more self-serving fashion. So always, whenever you're drawing a pentagram, and you'll notice that's drawn very, very poorly. Okay. The other one that I just sketched out was this one, which is your centigram, also known as a 7-pointed or fairy star. Okay. And you'll notice not only does it have your head, your 2 feet, okay, and your 2 arms, but it's got the 2 wings as well. Okay. Now, this being said, yeah, always be careful what you read. Definitely. I'm not sure if I'm careful who I read, because I do that just as I'm walking through a door. But let's take that and get rid of it. That's just paper shredder I have down there. See, the neat part about it is anything that helps you focus on a positive outcome is worth putting the effort into. Absolutely not, Joe. Pentagrams are absolutely not necessarily evil. It's what you're doing with them. Okay, now, if somebody has built a pentagram whereby they have put some sort of focal point at either the top or the bottom to draw your attention there. Okay, shouldn't have destroyed those, obviously, but I still got that there. Pop this over there. We'll just put another one together and make sure we did that right. Okay, now I put down 2 markers here because I'm going to look at 2 things at the same time. If you're looking at the pentagram and it's on the floor, if there's some sort of a marker here, whether it's a small stack of stones or whatever, something that draws your attention to the top. If there's something up here, then it's definitively laid out, and this would be inside of some sort of circle as well. Okay, so why don't we add that? Normally, well, we're going to end up with a little bit of a hiccup here. Now, told you my artwork is not something to write nice things home about. And Missouri man's going, yes, upside down pentagram was mostly recognized as a symbol of angels. When up is down and down is up. See, that I don't know. And I will take your word for it quite readily, Missouri. From my standpoint, I always looked at it as if it's standing upright, then you're looking at, if you got the sigil up here, the indicator at the top, this tells you whoever built it had the intention of it being a positive thing. If the sigil is at the bottom, okay, inside you'll find it usually inside the double ring that we talked about. This usually indicates that it's being used for, shall we say, negative focal points. The other reason I got taught by the people I was around at the time that the two ways differed was this way shows the symbol of man, but if you invert it, you'll notice the similarity between the symbol of the goat. Okay, also known as evil. Which, by the way, if you think about it, Capricorns are goats, and rest assured, every Capricorn born is not evil. You know, so this is why I say I don't do the research that people talk about. You know, this is just on what I've come to understand. What do we got here? Wendy Williams is going, being born and raised in the South, pentagram and magic have been something to be feared. I'm doing my best to unlearn all the negative connotations. That makes absolutely 100% sense, Wendy. And give yourself a pat on the back. You really are doing a fabulous job of unlearning what you've been taught. You know, I make no bones about it in case you hadn't noticed. Evil is something that people do. Absolutely. But evil is self-serving. Okay. Now, when I talk about you must be true to you first, this does not mean walk on other people to get to what you're aiming for. Okay. But there is so much misinformation out there. You know, people are taught a lot of things to mislead them, to guide you off the right path, off the better path, if you will. Okay. Not the least, and we could go way down a religious line, and I'm just going to avoid that because that's likely to get me blocked out of here for a while. So I'm just not doing that. But yeah, again, like when just a mild sidetrack, I used to work with a guy that works with candles, with what you call candle magic. And the first time I was working with him, I brought a black candle in. Now, traditionally, a black candle is evil. Okay. However, like I told him, because I lit it and he goes, "Oh, that's evil." I says, "No, no, no." I says, "Not for me. Black means unknown, unrevealed information." Okay. So when I explained that to him, the guy was very much an empath. And as soon as I explained the way I was looking at it, he relaxed right off the bat. Again, color has a lot of import. Okay, but the pentagram is usually drawn in only one color, primarily because it's not like a piece of art. Well, it is, just very basic. Okay, but the pentagram itself is not either positive or negative. It's very much like a car is not a positive tool or a negative one, nor is a hammer, but both can be put to use for both for positive and negative things. You know, so I'm looking at this, and the reality behind it. Am I going to build a pentagram in my house? No, but then I don't require one. Okay, you know, if you do, just make certain that you line it up so you're always entering and you're always facing the head of it. Okay, I knew one person in particular. Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I knew one person in particular that decided they were going to enhance their own energy field, and they put the pentagram inverted. They put the top spike at the base of the bed. Their intention was lay down on the pentagram and get better sleep. Because they put the pentagram in upside down, they ended up having nightmare after nightmare. Missouri man's going, man from within Earth wants all to oppose and deny the creator of everything. Most sacred symbols or knowledge is always forbidden in this world. Sad to say, this is why I came to the conclusion that the system that we are living under, the one that is governing our lives, political, priesthood, parental, and pedagogical. Nice, Gordana. Just make sure, if you didn't do this, make sure the single point is up. Okay. This is one of the neat things about Texas is they use a star, but they've got the star pointing north. Okay. This is the way it's supposed to be. Or more to the point, yeah, I shouldn't use the term supposed to. Okay, it's not wise to use the term supposed to. But, if you're aiming for a positive outcome, having the top of the pentagram up draws positive energy. Primarily, in all fairness, it's because mankind on the whole, when we take a look at religion has taught people the pentagram is evil. Yeah, Gordon is just adding, I found pentagram rings in drawers, keeping one whole week. Yeah, there's no problem there. But like I said, even if they are laying in your drawer, make sure that they are laying with the point pointing to the back of the drawer. So when you open it up, you're looking at it in the right fashion. Again, this is a way of bolstering the energy patterns. Okay, hopefully this is making sense. Well, that's where we run into an interesting snag, but you are right, Gordana. They talk about the 5 elements. Okay, I only work with 4, and let me explain that. The 5 elements we're talking about are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. The reason I work with only 4 is because of one little detail. Water and air follow exactly the same patterns. Chad, how you doing? Chad Smith has arrived on scene here. So let us find this. Chad, where are we? Here we are. This is the link. This is the link to Chad Smith's archives. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he's got to say, do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of the thing. Hopefully things have been going well for you there, Chad. But yeah, with the pentagram, make sure you've always got the top in your pointing, the single point pointing to the top. The reason for that is it draws much more positive energy to you. Okay, so if it's laying down in a drawer, make sure the top point is heading to the back of the drawer. That way, when you pull it open, you're going to see that you're going to look at it from the right side. Absolutely, Chad. That ought to be really neat. You're watching at night, I take it? You gotta be. Because there ain't much you're gonna see during the day. When presumably you're going to be looking at the moon. When you get the opportunity to look at the full moon, okay, focus on about the 7 o'clock point. Okay. If you look at the moon, at the face of a full moon, like it's a clock, focus at about the 7 o'clock point and come in about a third of the way from the 7 o'clock marker to the center. Okay, I do believe you'll find something rather remarkable there. Yeah, Chad's going, yep, it's dark already here. Yeah, I forgot about that. Because you're an hour ahead of us, aren't you? Like you're in mountain time. Or are you over in central? I just want to see what my light's doing. Oh, okay, we're dark here too. Gives you an idea how much I pay attention. But yeah, pentagrams are they're a wonderful little tool for focus. The key is to use them to focus on the right thing. Okay. And it really does boil down to look at any tool. And when I say any, okay. Oh, you're in Eastern time. Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay, so it's even darker. It's only 5 here, and we're already black. It can be Missouri Man. Of course, in all fairness, I figured out how to make portals out of just about anything, but there are things, and we should get into some of what you can do with a mirror. I really do caution people about certain things, but the pentagram is a very powerful tool, and the neat part about it, and also the most dangerous part about it, is you don't have to know how powerful it is for it to be a dangerous little tool if used incorrectly. You know, so I mean, really, when we look at it, Wendy, when we take a look at the pentagram, what you were taught, which so was I, by the way, I just seem to have failed that lesson. But you were taught it was evil. The thing is, if you're focused on it being evil, it becomes a problem. If you focus on it being useful, it becomes handy. Well, again, Gordona, my sympathies for your loss. Unfortunately, the thing you got to remember, first and foremost, you think about it, still pretty young for a cat at 8 years old to pass. But unfortunately, nature can do that to you. But you got to remember, don't look at the fact that he's gone. Take a look at the life you had with him. Focus on the enjoyment you had while he was there. This is the same thing that people really require to get straight regarding other things they've lost. Other things, other people, other connections. Yeah, Missouri Man's going, tools are required by most, but with caution. For higher beings, they are not needed. For humans have whoa. Hang on. Pop that out of the way. Can't read here because it's moving. Okay. With caution, for higher beings, they are not needed. For humans have 2 of them built in. Hold out your hands with open palms. Well, yeah, and you're absolutely right. And you'll see why. Now, if you hold out your hand now, most people's hands will do that. But you'll notice mine shakes a lot on that department. That's because I was born with only 4. Okay, I was born with both hands being that way. And that's much more comfortable for me. So I don't even have the 5-pointed star to wear the 5 points. Well, actually, I've got the 5 points more than most. But you'll notice mine's built upside down. I've got the 2. I've got the 2 here, and I got the single here. Okay. Most people, you've got 5 fingers at work. Now, I cannot hold that very long. It's been that way since I had the stroke. Wendy's going, absolutely. The same can be said for the Bible. If you want to use it to justify evil, slavery, for example, it can. But it can also be used for good. This is something, Wendy, that I'm currently in the process of doing. Okay. That is one of 3 books I'm currently reading. Okay. I told that's my copy of the Bible. My dad told me point blank, like my dad used to teach. He used to be the superintendent of Sunday schools for the Comox Valley. And while he was there, we used to read the Bible all the time, but he always made a point of reading it cover to cover. And I told him on his deathbed, I would read it cover to cover. Right now, I've only just gotten through Deuteronomy. Now, this is going, or not through, just into. But you can use anything to justify evil behavior or to justify negative behavior. Okay. I mean, where are we here? Gordana says, just noticed my pentagram ring has 2 stars on each side. Yeah, and if you got 2 on each side, that's a balance point. That's not focusing on either the good or the bad. It's focusing on keeping a balance between the two. The important factor that we have to realize, much of what you've been taught has probably been filtered down in over the last several generations and turned into a negative connotation. Okay, schools, as in the pedagogical system, no longer focuses on teaching people how to think. It focuses on teaching people what to think. And in case you hadn't noticed, that ain't working well. But you can absolutely take a pentagram and turn it around and put it to use. Now, like I said, if you have it right side up, okay, this is geared because human teaching, and I'm talking the species. I'm not talking one group. Okay, the species sees the pentagram as an evil thing on the whole. Okay, but you put it upright, you're looking at positive focus. You put it inverted, you're looking at negative focus. Okay, what do we got here? Somehow that doesn't really surprise me there, Wendy. Well, in all fairness, Wendy, the reason for that comment is because you have to be far more enlightened than what you think. Oh, why is that? Why is the species thing? Because when we take a look at religion, and this is where it went sideways, religion turned around, and you got to remember, I don't know what the percentages of Christians around the world. I haven't looked into that, but about 5 years ago, I did look into the money side of it. The massive majority, where people have gotten visible. Okay, you take a look at things like, like the Muslim faith. Okay, you look at that. Yes, there undoubtedly are by per capita more Muslims than Christians, but Christians have a better marketing field, at least in the Western world. And the silly thing there is they're both teaching the same thing and completely ignoring it. Okay, but when the majority of people are taught that the pentagram is an evil thing, then that energy it becomes a living thought form. Okay, and that's why it becomes a species issue. Okay, because you got to remember, creativity on this planet, in this existence, is a matter of will. Okay, it really is a matter of will, but what people don't realize is it's not just your own will you're going against. You're also going against the will or the belief structure of everybody around you and everybody you don't know about. Okay, their belief structure also creates barriers. And this is where the species interaction comes in. Now, myself, I don't look at any knowledge as evil knowledge. Okay, I really don't. I don't see the point in seeing knowledge as evil. Knowledge simply boils down to learning to think, to determine what you desire. Um, yeah, this is where we run into an interesting problem. Okay, Missouri Man, and I'm not going to argue the point because I haven't done any of the research at all. But when Missouri Man is going back to the mirror, there are 13 species of known humans on Earth. Okay, now here's where we run into a hiccup. Are you talking about 13 species or are you talking about 13 races? Okay, now from my understanding, and this is as far as I'm going down that rabbit hole, humans, regardless of what color you are, regardless of what nationality, where you grow up, none of it, all of that, all of the peoples on this planet, on the whole, are human, one species. But your Caucasians, your Negroid, your Oriental, okay, your so-called, your East Indians, the Middle Easterners, the Africans, these are all different races. But as far as I understand it, and I may well be mistaken, okay, as far as I understand it, you can be from any one of the races, but if because of the fact that humans can they can co-create another being, you're still purebred human. You've got different backgrounds, you've got different histories, each equally important than the next. Okay, but the reality of it is, from my standpoint, um, I do agree with your comment there, though, Missouri Man. The world isn't ruled by the ones you're being believe or you're told. It is ruled by the individuals. Okay, it's ruled by the individuals. In other words, you're presented with a situation, just like you're presented with information from me. You can choose to believe it and act upon it, or you can choose to disbelieve it and act upon something else. There are certain things you don't, and that it would be unwise to, that it would be unwise to do. Don't don't debate whether you believe in gravity or not. Don't debate whether it's going to cause a problem. Okay, just take for granted it's going to be a problem if you ignore it. And anybody that's fallen down, and I'm not talking just down a set of stairs, I mean just falling down, has empirical proof that gravity, whatever you want to call it, number one, is alive and well and doesn't care who you are or what you believe. Okay, it's something that is simply there. It's like you don't have to believe you require oxygen to be able to breathe. But I will tell you, put that to the test and you're going to run into a problem. You don't have to believe you can't breathe underwater, but I will tell you, you put your head underwater for too long, you're going to find complications. I do appreciate that, Wendy. Yeah, I really do. I have questioned my entire life whether I'm completely off my nut or not. I actually went to 3 psychiatrists to find out if I was off my nut. And according to them, according to all 3 of them, aside from having a very volatile vocal temper when dealing with somebody that's being stupid, when I'm dealing with stupidity, apparently I'm perfectly fine. Okay. I still argue that point with myself. But I definitely have a different way of looking at the world. The one thing that I look at, though, is, is that whoever you are, wherever you come from, I'm not telling you to believe me. Okay. I'm telling you quite directly, check your own facts, check your own research. Now, I believe the way I do because I've been faced with it way too long. And I've only 20 years ago, there were only 6 people in existence that my psychiatrist actually knew that had the same physical problem I had. And 5 of them were locked up in mental institutions because they couldn't function, period. Okay. Yeah, I got a kick out of it. My mom used to tell me I was off my nut all the time. And on my dad, when my dad was on his deathbed, she come to me and she goes, "Keith, you know why I believe what you're telling me?" I looked at her and says, no. She says, "I've heard all of these alien stories before and what you've been through with the alien stories, with the my labs." She says, "I've heard all of these before." But she said, even when Dad and I tried to coerce you into changing your story, you absolutely refused. You're stuck to the same story. She goes, "That's why I believe what you're saying." Now, my mom was always very edgy around the metaphysical world. My dad was just edgy because I wasn't. But no, the nice part about it, and this is why I'm working to get so much written down, is because I die, that information goes away. No, I do my best not to. I mean, yeah, I've got a twisted sense of humor on occasion, but where it comes to this side of it, there is so much information. Like, I mean, I dealt with people a while back that they all claim to deal with off-worlders all the time. Okay. And they said they were always dealing with them face to face. And yet, and yet, when faced with a live one, they didn't recognize it, which is entertaining. The important factor from your standpoint is the methods, and this is why I turned it into writing these types. I turned to writing these types of books because they've got the backbone, just the bare bones of how I ended up turning my life around. How I managed to find a way, in spite of the way I look at the world, to sort of, function. Now I just have to figure out how to market, which probably means I should likely post something to indicate that, eh? Like, again, I'm a professional procrastinator. Now, the thing is, let's get that out of my way. Thing is, I take a pentagram. It takes a couple of moments to draw one. Okay. It takes even less time to mess it up. Missouri Man is just saying here, their body rejected the teachings and chemicals of wicked man from within, as have so many in recent years. Ever asked why they shut down the national asylums out of the blue? Honestly, I didn't even know they had. I do know that many of the people that were declared insane were literally just not able to see the world the way other people were. Like I've told people, the reason I didn't get locked up as a kid was because I knew the answers they were looking for. Never result, they'd ask the right answer question. I'd tell them, and it wasn't a question of telling what they wanted to hear. It was telling them what they had to hear in order to understand that I knew where I was standing. You take a look at it and, you go back and listen to Einstein. Einstein handed the scientists of his day the theory of relativity. They couldn't understand it. Okay. Because it is so simple, it's absolutely bizarre. But Einstein finally turned around and gave them a formula that worked, that they took wholeheartedly and they took to heart. Now, curiosity, I know there are some really bright people in this chat room. Do you guys know what Einstein's theory of relativity was? Okay, as in the as in the theory of relativity as Einstein laid it out. Absolutely correct, Missouri. Missouri just says they still can't understand it, even with the cheat sheets he wrote for them. It's comical. You know, it is comical in a sad sort of way because it is so simple that once you understand it, you look at it going, how could the scientists miss it? Well, get this. Okay, about 5 years ago, I found out about a study that scientists took 3 years to figure out. And I took a look at what the question was. And, this is the brightest minds in the world. 3 years to figure this out. Here's the question they were posited. And like I said, took them 3 years to figure it out, but they figured it out about 5 years ago. The question they were posited with was, why is it that 95% of shark attacks on humans happen in shallow water? Now, I'm not going to give you 3 years to figure this out. Okay, let's see. We are at 5:36 right now, so we're looking at less than an hour. I'm just curious if anybody can come up with an answer as to why shark attacks, 95% of them take place in shallow water. Okay, this is the question before you. So of course I'm asking you guys 2 questions. Okay, the second one being, the first one actually was, what is the theory of relativity that Einstein dropped in the scientist's lab that they couldn't figure out? Okay. Or just leave that as, what was Einstein, or what is Einstein's stated theory of relativity? I am keeping an eye on the chat room to see if somebody comes up with the answer. But I will tell you, by the end of the show, I will absolutely give you the answer. Normally, I don't do that, but I want to see what pops. Call it curiosity on my part. Now, I had to put a whole pile of things on, on hold until I finally got a problem sorted out with my computer. Now, this mess that I've got behind me here, and you'll notice it's not set out like a pentagram. All of that paperwork will go away tonight before I pack it in for the night. But now I can start moving it onto the computer properly and file what's there and what doesn't require the computer. But I look at the pentagram. Oh, no problem there, Wendy. I'll drop the 2 questions back into your lap because you missed them. If you were out getting your dinner, that's something I've got to deal with after the show. Okay, but I've got it all laid out, so that's easy. The 2 questions I've dropped out and I've left with people to figure out before the end of this stream, because in the last few minutes of the stream, I'll give you both answers. Okay, absolutely they should, Gordana. Now, the 2 questions are this. Einstein left scientists with the theory of relativity. Okay, but, the question being, according to what Einstein told the scientists, what is the theory of relativity? Yes, I'm asking people to push their minds. Okay, the second one was something that the scientists only just figured out after 3 years of research. Okay, the question they were trying to answer was, oh, I am not talking to you. The question they were working on, what the question they were working on was, why are 95% of shark attacks on humans? Why did 95% take place in shallow water? Honestly, Joe, I really don't know, although I might be able to find out. I'm thinking it was tied to Steve Jobs, but let us see. Who invented the iPhone? Okay. Who is the real inventor of the iPhone? This is straight off the net. That's what I figured. Steve Jobs invented the iPhone. Okay. Now, personally, I use an iPhone, but that has more to do with the fact I wasn't happy with what one company did, and it links me up with my other half completely. Now, where are we here? There. Okay. Now, Wendy, you probably have way more intelligence than you give yourself credit for. Big J, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. And to it. Okay. Big J is just asking, is there any credence to putting a circle around a symbol to give it more power? And the answer is yes. Because when you put a circle around it, okay, it contains the energy, thereby focusing it. Okay, it's very much like this. Where's my little toy here? Okay, it's very much like this. Okay, magnifying lens. By taking that circle, it brings the light into a focal point. And rest assured, this particular lens, well, this is the exact lens that I use to burn my sign. The one that says, I am worth it. Gordoni is just saying, saw Charlie materialize a few times, so real. Sometimes he would walk in walking glow, in a light glow. What you're seeing there is his astral form. Okay, once the body dies, most entities will maintain a memory of their most recent form, especially if they're striving to let you know they're okay. Okay, now I'm betting, I'm betting in the case of Charlie, I'm betting it was a very light hue. It wasn't a dark hue, it wasn't a red hue, but either a light hue or targeted person. Apple iPhones are bad for you because they have antenna strength. I won't argue with what you've heard. I will tell you this. Okay, the iPhone itself, in my opinion, certainly, if you if you think about it, you turn a microwave on, it will cause problems. Okay, it can. But I will tell you, you take aside an iPhone or a cell phone. Okay, I do not see them as being a real evil thing. Okay, and this issue of if you're a targeted person, you got to remember the government, whatever government, doesn't matter which, this is not paranoia. This is something that they have come out and said. Okay, every government I'm aware of that has a technological way of doing so or a sociological way of doing it do keep tabs on everything going on in their country. Okay. Now, you can call that paranoia, I will tell you, whether you're talking an iPhone or you're talking an Android, doesn't make any difference. The camera in your phone is usable by them, even if it isn't turned on. Now, call that paranoia, be my guest. And I will tell you, ask the big companies, they'll say, no, that doesn't work. I'm not going to buy into that. I'm not going to worry about it because I really don't care. Joe's just going, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the invention of the iPhone by Steve Jobs was a stupid idea. Here's the thing. I don't see it as a stupid idea. What people do with it, okay, like the genius that goes, oh, I got an idea here. Let's take a cell phone, stick it in the microwave, metal. Take an iPhone, stick it in the microwave, and turn the microwave on to charge the battery. Now, this is a stupid use for a cell phone. Okay. But no, you see, you cannot have, if you think about the evolution of technology and of society and where it's heading, well, where it's already gone, a landline won't work in outer space. Can you picture trying to run a telephone line from the space shuttle, even in geosynchronous orbit? Can you picture the problem with getting a communication line? They had to go to a version of the iPhone, whether it's the Android, the iPhone, whatever. They had to go there, or interstellar communication, even interplanetary communication, isn't possible. Even the space station, you can't do without it. So, do I feel it was a stupid idea? Absolutely not. And Big J goes, cool trick. If you wrap your cell phone in foil and then try to call it, it won't ring. Absolutely true. Of course, I found out something else. A long time ago, I found out. And I find it works with computers too. If you soak a cell phone in water, it also won't ring. Okay, I tried that just recently with coffee in my computer. That also created a problem. Now Big J's going, I hear silicone also has its own intelligence to it. And absolutely, it seriously does. Carbon-based life is not the only form of life. And this is something that humans have been having a lot of trouble wrapping their head around. Okay, but yes, silicone itself has the same capacity. Okay, has the exact same capacity of generating a life form as carbon does. Okay, so by the way, does copper, and you'll love this one, methane. Life can come in any form. Okay, it's just humans are limited to thinking on the whole that it has to look like it's human. It's got to be bipedal to have intelligence, in spite of all the empirical evidence. Thank you so much for dropping by, Wendy. I do appreciate it. Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Cowie, do I think water can store memories? Absolutely. There is absolutely zero question there. Okay, and here's your quantifiable proof, as it were. My understanding is the human body is composed of 86% liquid. Your memories are all stored inside of that. Okay, your body, somebody loses a limb, you get what's called phantom pain. That's because the liquid in your body remembers it. Okay, it's part of the overall memory. So, I mean, we are talking about something that connects everybody. Okay, there are so many things. Hopefully you're still here, Wendy, but make sure to come back and just, even if all it is the last 5 minutes of the show, I am going to give the answer to that question I posed. Let's see. Big J goes, there's a theory that the Disney song Wish Upon a Star is about the occult pentagram. Well, hey, Tales of Sonic Voyage, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You think about it. Ring Around the Rosie, okay, the children's limerick, was about the Black Death. Okay, London Bridge is falling down was about, guess what? London Bridge falling down. So yeah, is it possible that's what they did? Absolutely it is. Okay, the Lord knows they've been known to do other things. Okay. Here we go. Missouri man goes, silicon is from sand. Sand is a crystal, very ancient tech. All things natural, organic, as far as data and communicates constantly. Subatomic connections. Absolutely correct, Missouri. Okay, absolutely correct. This is why I've already laid things out. Nathan and I have talked about it, okay, in the past, about the layout for a crystal computer. Now, I will tell you, a crystalline computer will not connect to an IBM or to an Apple. Okay, mind you, you think about it, neither will a wood and metal computer, such as an abacus. They won't do it either. There's a lot of things that you've been misled about. And this is one of the things I'm working to try and open the doors on without getting hung out to dry. Okay, and rest assured, some of my views will absolutely go against what people have been taught. And I'm going to repeat those two questions again. You'll find I do that periodically because I am going to give you the answer. But the two questions we're working on right now are, according to what Einstein said, what is the theory of relativity? Second question is, quite seriously, why is it that 95% of shark attacks on humans takes place in shallow water? These are the two questions I've dropped in your lap that the best minds in the world have had trouble with. The first one they still don't get, and the second one it took them 3 years. There we go, Big J. Now, I will tell you this. Now, what would you think, Big J? Because you've come up with an answer, so we might just well go there. Now, Big J is gone. The theory of relativity is E equals mc squared, aka energy equals mass times acceleration squared. Now, here's the kicker to it. What would you do if I told you that wasn't the theory of relativity that Einstein intended the scientists to have? That was a pawn off. He got fed up. He got tired of trying to explain it. Do I know what the theory of relativity is myself? Absolutely. Of course, in all fairness, I remember talking to Einstein. Absolutely, Gordana. Yeah, light speed is definitely not the fastest thing. But Gordon is just adding, cell phone screen is made of sand. Sand heated to make glass. People used to make images in sand as magic works to manifest. We do that every day on cell phones. Okay. Now, Emmy Tonga, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, here's the neat little part about E equals mc squared. It's a formula that works. It's a mathematical formula that absolutely works. Problem: And get this one, people, because this is going to blow your mind. The theory of relativity. 1 plus 1 equals 3. It's not math. But the theory of relativity is 1 plus 1 equals 3. Okay. Now, I am curious if anybody can figure out why that works and why that would be the theory of relativity. Zuckocracy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Just a couple of points, because I'm seeing some people in here I haven't seen in a long time. If you do like the stream, do us a favor, if you would please. Give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of the thing. Also, if you've got a question, even if it is not in the genre that we're talking, in the question that we're talking about right now, put your question in the chat room, preferably in all caps. Okay, if not in all caps, give it partial caps, or at least a wavy hand to get my attention. This is not called yelling, this is getting attention. Okay, yeah. Yeah, as Zuckocracy has said, the Black Mirror or Scrying Mirror. Yeah, Gordana mentioned that the thing is called a Black Mirror. Zuckocracy calls it the Black Mirror or Scrying Mirror. And then Big J brings us up with this other piece that, as in occult for scribing. Absolutely there, Big J. Now I am curious if anybody knows why 1 plus 1 can possibly equal 3. That's your theory of relativity, the one the scientists couldn't figure out. Now, the other question, of course, is why is it that 95% of shark attacks on humans take place in shallow water? Okay, now understand, the theory of relativity, the scientists are still having trouble grasping. Okay, they have found out that light is not the fastest thing moving. Okay, but what they haven't figured out why that fits. And that's a good guess. It really is. There's even better reason, but still, Big J, still, warm waters. You notice it didn't take you 3 years to even come up with that concept. This is the part of the puzzle that about 5 years ago they finally figured it out. Okay, but, and where are we here? We are at 46. Well, well, to a degree, yes. You can create all kinds. That would be the reason there's Zuckocracy. That's where the people are. Very few people end up in deep water. Okay, there are some unfortunate cases. But I'm telling you, it's Zuckocracy. Now, I think you've only been in here for you only heard the question for 5 minutes. You got to be one of the brightest people on the planet, that being said, considering the scientists took 3 years to figure it out. And these are the people that many people go, oh, they're a scientist. They're really smart. Maybe I'm a little obtuse. I'm certainly a little outspoken. But if it takes 3 years to figure out that the reason shark attacks take place in shallow water is because that's where the people are, there's a problem with the thinking process. Missouri Man goes, man and his so-called science never includes time, space, or the all-source energy. Why they struggle to prove the smallest of things and always will. Well, I won't go so far as to say always, but they are fighting with a major problem. Okay. You know, the concept that, the concept that thinking about doing something is as bad as doing it is a massive problem. Because if that were the case, this world would already be a barren wasteland. Okay. As a matter of fact, even in my writings, the world has gone to heck in a handbasket. That would be the biggest problem right there. But humans are taught by their predecessors how to, or more to the point, what to think. We used to be taught how. Now we're taught what. Now, my father was always a firm believer in teaching and getting us to think for ourselves. Now, this does not mean he was perfect, not by any functional stretch. It's a little hard for me to call my father perfect when he had a really bad habit of beating the absolute stuffing out of somebody that swore in front of a woman. Now, to understand, he didn't just beat on them if they swore in front of the woman he was dating. He beat on them if they swore in front of any woman. Okay. Now, there's something wrong with this, and my dad was very quick to point out it was a bad move. Okay. The thing that people have to realize is in order to make something work, first and foremost, you have to believe it's possible. Okay. That's the first thing you got to figure out, is it is possible to do this. Now, you can take a pentagram, you can use it to focus your energy, to focus your thought line on a given path. Okay. And that physical symbology, that physical symbol will help maintain your focus, thereby enhancing your ability to make that happen. But it works the same for everyone, regardless of what walk of life you come from, regardless of what you've been through. It works the same for everybody. And now it's just a question of getting people to realize this. Now, I am sitting at the hour and a half mark. I ran out of something very important to me. And no, I'm not pouring this one on my computer, but I will be back in a moment or two. Yep. Just remember to take them with you. We are back with that all-important Gojas. Well, we nicknamed it Go Juice. Of course, for me, coffee doesn't do a thing in the way of energy levels. I can frankly drink 2 pots of coffee and roll over and go to sleep. Oh, yeah, I have come to the conclusion that rushing doesn't do me a whole lot of good. Kevin, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it, when we start looking at pentagrams, they can be used as a focal point. The same as literally anything else. Okay, let us refresh that just because I'm curious. The funny part about it is I take a look at everything going on, and I'm going, we've got to find a way to focus and get back, that we can get back on the track that we were actually originally supposed to be on, as in getting along, working with each other, and turning this into a world that is in better shape than when we got here. Now, the question is, what part of that are you working on? Most people say you've got to have a plan laid out for your life so you can be successful. I'm here to tell you this is misguided. Okay, I have spent 37 years, 37 years, professionally pointing out to people where they're having a hiccup. And one thing I have found is the massive majority of people are in their late 40s to early 50s by the time they figure out what they want to do with their life. I was seriously in my early 50s. For me, it really would be, I guess it was about 2 years into being on Space Out Radio, so 5 or 6 years ago, which would make me 55 to 54 years old. So about my mid 50s. When I finally started going, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, now I'm pushing for it. But most people haven't got a clue what they're doing or what they desire to do. Okay, and there's all sorts of reasons for that, none of which make any one of you any worse than the next person. This is why I don't look at somebody and go, oh, you got more money than I do, therefore you're elite. If that were the case, most of you would be elite people. Okay. But I will tell you, whatever you desire to accomplish, if you break it down and you work towards it one step at a time, you may not attain your goals in the time frame you originally desired. But you can virtually guarantee, if you focus on altering the things that are not contributing to your success, if you focus on altering those, all you're left with is a very driven focal point that will result in success. And you think about it, if your life is miserable, when you eliminate the things that are making you miserable, or you alter the energy around them, all you're left with is a life that you can wake up and say, hey, I've got a good life going on. And I will tell you from practical experience, that really is the key to success. Okay. By altering the way things are going around you, by altering the way you're looking at it. Okay. When we look at, and I'm just going to go into this briefly, here's the reason that 1 + 1 = 3. This is why the theory of relativity. Okay. You have your starting point is 1, plus your destination point is 1, equals a third point, because you got these two, and then everything in the middle is a third point. Now, take a look at that before somebody goes, well, you got all this distance between you. You do. But if we take 10, if you take 10 inches between you, okay, nope, that's up front. If you take a 10-inch span, the midpoint of that is 5 inches. Then it becomes 2.5. Then it becomes 1.25. Get the picture? There's always a midpoint, okay, between two destinations. When we look at time, there is an old saying that came out way back in the 70s, was when I heard it. Today, you have today, tomorrow, and yesterday. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Well, today is the yesterday we will talk about tomorrow. And tomorrow and today is the tomorrow we talked about yesterday. Net result, today, tomorrow, and yesterday are all the same point. But the only place you can change anything is today, right here, right now. Okay. And this is what we've got to focus on. It applies to everybody. Okay. I think it was Schrodner, I'm pronouncing that really badly. I believe it was Schrodinger's cat. Okay. When you take a cat and put it in a box, okay, right now you can see the cat in the box. Close the box. Now you got a question, is the cat in the box? Again, it boils down to between the two. How you doing, football? Glad you could join us. You have, with everything, there are threes. The smallest number of points that you can have for an object to be stable is 3 points. Okay, 2 legs on a stool also makes it a ladder. All of it'll fall down. 3 legs will hold together, will hold you up. Okay, now we also have this neat little thing of when you take a look at the physical world and the mental world, there's still the energetic world. Okay, all things are built in threes, including your basic atoms. Okay, now those of you that are scientifically minded, you know about the protons and the neutrons. Okay, the protons, neutrons, and electrons. We got 3. Now here's the funny part. You're not talking about, people talk about, Emmy Tonga, I think I saw you come in, but that's okay. If not, welcome aboard anyway. Sometimes, see, the problem is I'm going to try and get on, and then life gets in the way, and, well, let's face it, for me, family definitely comes first. Okay. Now, for me, family boils down to this. My eldest son, my youngest son, and my other half. Do I pay attention to what my ex-wife is going through? Certainly, because we're still friends. But does this mean that she takes prominence over everybody else? No. Ran into an interesting problem that's got nothing to do with much of anything. Okay. This ring, this is the one I got from my brother after he passed away. It used to be a tight fit. Now it falls off. Where are we here? Missouri Man goes, all have their own duties or chores based on individualism. Tis by design. Some move galaxies and timelines, some plant gardens or draw cartoons, all for reasons you need not know but equally. Absolutely. You don't have to know everything going on. What you do have to know is that every entity in existence was given the same thing: free will and freedom of choice. What you weren't given was freedom from consequence. Big J goes, what if the pentagram is broken or not drawn corrected, is not drawn connected? Well, number one, if it is not drawn connected, it won't hold the same energy. Okay, picture what would happen if you've got a railway track and you take out the center line, or you just don't line them up properly. They're supposed to connect this way, and you've got them connected like this. Picture what's going to happen to that information. Same thing applies to electricity. Okay, if the line is not connected, it won't work right. Okay, however, that being said, breaking a pentagram, bearing in mind the pentagrams, much as they're used for summoning circles, they aren't exactly the cause. What do we got here? Ultimately, yes. But as with a broken mirror, you'll see the cracks. With the broken pentagram, you won't get the energy flow. The one thing that is really kind of comical is, and this is going out on a side note for a bit, but guess why it is that when people build a pentagram as a containment field, okay, why is it that a pentagram surrounded by a circle will hold most summoned entities? Any idea why it works? Because I will tell you, it's the same reason why the cross will work against a vampire. And yes, people, the Sagina and the vampires are, in all fairness, real people. Okay, but why is it that a pentagram surrounded by a containment circle will hold most summoned entities? Okay, or why does a cross repel a vampire? Because both work. Oh, absolutely, Joe. Today is the tomorrow we talked about yesterday, and today is the yesterday we will talk about tomorrow. If you write those three words down, okay, you'll understand it a lot more clearly. Take a sheet of paper and you write tomorrow, today, yesterday. And then you've got today, which is right where my head is. Okay, if you got it here, today is the tomorrow we used to talk here, because back here, this would be tomorrow. And today is the yesterday we will talk about tomorrow. Because if tomorrow is here, and we're here today, then when we get to tomorrow, we are now talking about yesterday. Therefore, today, tomorrow, and yesterday are all the same thing. And just to make that clear, just something dawned on me here. A friend of mine made it very, very clear that this sometimes works very well for people. Where is it? Right there. I'm just writing it down. I'll show you in a second. Okay. Here we have it. Okay. We have yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So we're standing here today, because you'll see how it's pointed out. You've got today here. To the left is tomorrow. Although that's right. Okay, you've got yesterday. You move left, you get to today. But from today, you move left to get to tomorrow. So today is the tomorrow you talked about yesterday. And today is also the yesterday you will talk about tomorrow. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. We'll just pop that up there for you. Give you a chance. That's why I write it that way. Okay. Which is really neat. You know, when you think about there's another, I believe the YTT is a telecommunications method for blind people. I think. Which is really kind of a weird coincidence, but what the heck. So hopefully that makes sense. And what do we got here? You know, when we take a look at the whole use of any tool that you come in contact with. Oh, Gordana goes, yesterday's youth. Yes. I mean, there's an old saying that goes, you know, youth is wasted on the young. You most people don't realize how much you can get accomplished until you're a lot older. Now, just because I'm nosy there, and just because I'm nosy, football, you got 18 lip balms. Are those all for you, or are you planning on turning them over? Are you planning on using them for Christmas gifts as well? That's just a curiosity thing on my part. See, I'm a firm believer if you use something often enough, having it in the stockpile is a good idea. You know, like for me, I always have a minimum of of 2 pounds of coffee or 1 kilogram of coffee in backup all the time. Simply because I like the flavor of coffee, so I keep it around. Okay, but when you take a look at whatever it is you're using to focus, okay, the focus itself is not the problem. What you're doing with it can be the problem. There we go. I sure hope so, football. That just paints a really bad picture. Football goes, I give them out as year-round gifts. We all have skin, lips, and hands. Absolutely. And those of us that don't tend to be a little bit buried. Okay, there aren't that many. I haven't seen many walk around where they no longer have skin or bones. Yeah, we all have muscles and a lot of other things. And this is the thing. So many people are looking at what makes us different. Derek Galloway, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, I keep looking at the world and going, we've got to start focusing on the similarities, on the strength of the differences, not on the fact that, oh, you're a different color than I am, and therefore you're bad. Okay, I will tell you, we continue finding ways to separate ourselves into smaller groups. Missouri man goes, circle equals circle's life. Circling a pentagram is calling on the laws given by the Creator to all. Show your true self and bound by sacred laws. Appear and stay until someone summoned by another or by him. Yeah, Missouri man goes, butchered to fit into chat. I appreciate that, Missouri. I really do. You know, the other thing that the circle works for is because the entity being drawn and being called in believes it works. Okay. Again, we're dealing with an entire societal belief structure. Okay. Yeah. Zachocracy has said, agreed. Similarities bring people together. Many people nowadays define ideology by outliers of reality and normality. It's funny. I saw a post on Facebook that said, those of you, that, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't even know who said it, and I'm not going looking for it. But what they said was those of you that claim to be non-binary are by definition identifying everybody else as binary, thereby making it a binary system all over again. So now instead of being male and female, now you're binary or non-binary. Now the same stunt was pulled way back by a comedian by a comedian many of you know of, Bill Cosby. And he sat there, he was a bus driver, and the bus driver's sitting there, and everybody's screaming at everybody about black and white kids in the same bus. And Bill, the bus driver looks at the back, and he all of a sudden hammers on the brake, says, okay, everybody off the bus. I don't care if you're white or black. Everybody off the bus. Right? He says, now, line up against the bus. He said, now, none of you are black, none of you are white. You're all green. Now, everybody back on the bus. Dark greens to the back, light greens to the front. This is how silly pigmentation, differentiation has become. Okay, it's always been this way. And you can find all kinds of ways of seeing things differently. Okay, what you can't change is the issue, at least I hope you can't, is the issue that every person, no matter who they are, whether you believe in a pentagram, whether you don't, doesn't matter. You don't have to believe in gravity either. But I will tell you, gravity is going to play havoc with you if you don't pay attention to it. But we all have similar in common with each other. Yeah, Missouri man goes, I only know the long versions of things. Never thought I would discuss pentagrams and portals in depth for another 2 years. Where are we here? Yes, my dad used to say, it's a bad day when you can't learn something new. What I have come to understand with this chat room, and in all fairness, I found it in Dave's chat room in Spaced Out Radio, right? I found it there as well. Matter of fact, come to think of it, where is that? Get that out of my way. And we go back to that. And we go Spaced Out Radio. We go copy that. Years ago, I found the same thing. There is no limit to the possibilities of what questions are likely to come up. Now, that's the link to Spaced Out Radio. Okay. And again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he's doing, what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. See, we have a fantastic opportunity here. Okay. That opportunity is to change this world, not to wait for the elites, the government, the leaders of the churches, the leaders of the schools, not to wait for them, but to take matters into our own hands and start working together to really bind the people on this planet into a unified force. Okay, let's face it. There is only, and I have no idea what, last I heard, there was like 147 countries. Of course, at the time, the USSR was one country. Okay, so I have no idea how many countries, how many leaders of countries we've got. What I do know is we got a whole sheepload more people than we do leaders. Gordana goes, bacon and garlic can unite us. Well, see, that won't unite. That'll unite a lot of us. But you got to remember, there are people that are, in all fairness, they're vegan or vegetarian. Bacon won't do a thing for them. Okay, the Saginan will certainly not take to the garlic. And what? I gotta wait for that to pop over. Oh. Oh, that's why it didn't show up. There we go. The Concracy has said the gender ideology forefathers are perverts and deviants today. It's Marxism being taught in schools, thus the increasing incidence of non-binary, etc. It creates communities of status like China. You know, the sad part is that is by choice. And I will say that wholeheartedly. Whoever you are, you've got the choice as to what you're going to look at. Okay. But find the similarities, because I don't, and from my standpoint, it's simple. No matter where you are in the world, if you wear pants, the odds are you're putting them on one leg at a time. If you're breathing, the odds are it's oxygen you have to breathe. At least if you're human. Okay. If you're, if you've got sight, you do it through your eyes. Now the reality is there's more there. I have no idea that football. Big J, you put in a whole bunch of things here, and I frankly, if that's the question, I don't understand it. That's the funny part about it. The internet wasn't actually given by a higher power. The internet was based on the internet itself was an evolution of the computer, which was based on this cute little issue of trying to replicate the human brain. The funny part is it seems to work a little better in some ways. But yeah, absolutely, Zacocracy. If we focus on the positive or focus on the negative, either way, that's what we're coming up with. Okay, if we desire to focus on what's wrong with the world, we will have all kinds of problems. That just goes hand in hand with the situation. Now, with this in mind, guys, we are coming right down to the last little bit here. Where are we here? And I really do want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. We're down to the last couple of minutes. Again, like I said, I was going to give the answer. I'm going to repeat it. The theory of relativity, okay, is 1 plus 1 equals 3. It is not mathematics. Okay, if you go back into this video a little further, I go through it again with a whole lot more detail. Also, the reason 95% of shark attacks on humans takes place in shallow water is because that's where the humans are. You won't find a whole lot of shark attacks on humans in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Unless you watch Sharknado. Not a good movie, but it was kind of a cute little B class. I will take your word for it there, Big J. I don't use GPS anyway because, quite frankly, I fry the poor things. And that has been empirically proven. But I am going to bring this to a close. Again, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. And until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.